Hello and welcome to this, one of the least well thought out videos I've ever done. This time about the Hello Sailor Rangemaster. Again. So, the Hello Sailor Rangemaster. A while back I did a video about Hello Sailor's Rangemasters. That Rangemaster was slightly different to this. It was bigger and it had a couple of extra features. This one is smaller but also has a few extra tricks up its sleeve. And the big difference with this one is that it's mine, I own it. Because having watched Chris Buck using Hello Sailor's Rangemaster to great effect recently, I thought it was time I actually gave it a proper shot after just doing a review of it and put it into my rig, and I must admit I am not disappointed. So what is a Rangemaster? Well, as I explained in the previous video, it's kind of a make better button treble booster type thing. Very similar to a fuzz in some respects. It's got a germanium transistor in it and it boosts the signal and plays with the signal bit. This particular one has a three-way selector for three different types of capacitor, which I'll read off to you now because I can't remember them off the top of my head. So middle is a 5 nanofarad standard capacitor, which is the same setup as a standard traditional Rangemaster. As he's put it here, inboard, which is left as I look at it, is a 10 nanofarad Russian K40Y9 capacitor. And outboard, that way, is a tropical fish mullard, and also has a poly cap in parallel to thicken it again. So there's a lot to take on there. The upshot is that it kind of, as I said, it boosts the signal, thickens it, gives it a bit more treble, does all kinds of nice things, and has some really interesting effects on the overall signal and the overall sound, which is kind of why I want to play with it today, because in my last video it was very much here is what it does. Now I kind of want to show you a little bit about what you can do with it rather than what it does, how you can make use of it in interesting ways. So I'm going to get plugged in, I'm going to have a little play and show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm all set up. I'm using single coil going through the Rangemaster straight into a crunchy amp. It's my Boss Katana. So that's the bridge pickup. Everything's at full on here. We're going to go into halfway, hit the button. So you can hear there's a lot of boost there. I'm currently on the tropical fish setting. If I go into the middle setting, which is the standard Rangemaster, real trebly boost. You can hear the tropical fish one thickens up and is a bit louder as well. And the Russian, is it Russian? Yeah, the Russian capacitor is a bit thicker as well, but not as thick as the tropical fish. So that's my personal favourite settings. That's what I'm going to keep it on. Now, this is how I use it. I have it on half volume. I have it set to the Mallard Tropical Fish, going into the crunchy amp. So So you can hear it pushes the sort of the treble, the upper mids, thickens the tone up slightly, and obviously gives you a slight volume boost. But I'm using it as an always-on pedal. Now, what's really interesting is, I said at the beginning, it's kind of built a bit like a fuzz with a Germanium transistor, but it isn't a fuzz. So if I move to a really clean amp, so this is my clean. Very clean. Still very clean. Still very clean. Tiny bit of breakup because it's a modelling amp and it's meant to emulate tubes, but it's not coming from this. Just the volume that it's pushing it with. So it's not a distortion pedal, it's not a fuzz, it's not a tube screamer. I'll go back to my crunch. Now what's really, really cool about this, because of the fact that it's a Germanium transistor, it works really nicely with your volume control. Now I did a video week before last about the use of volume control when playing. Now the whole point with this is that it works with the dynamics that you are using. So if you're picking soft, it'll sound soft. If you're picking hard, it'll sound hard, but it'll kind of make it sound just a little bit better in my eyes. But what's really cool is just how well it responds to the volume control. So this is, my volume's almost completely off. There's the neck pickup. So a real kind of Hendrixy sound. Okay. Now, if I want to kind of go into a solo-y type sound, I roll the volume up. So it just sounds wonderful. This kind of glassy, clean tones. Just a little bit extra, kind of just extra. It's hard to explain. It's that make better button. I love the whole idea of it. But it doesn't have to be used just with clean. If I move to a distorted amp, it will thicken it up really nicely, like a tube screamer would. So turn it off, back to full volume, bridge pickup. And stuff. And it sounds really cool. It just adds something. It's why Eric Clapton used the Rangemaster originally. It's why Brian May still uses the Rangemaster in his signal chain, because it just makes the tone sound a little bit more there. bit more of everything you want it to sound like. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. This version is not the Transformer version. By that, I don't mean it's going to turn into a robot. I mean that Hello Sailor has a different version of this with a special transformer setup in it, which allows it to go anywhere in your signal chain. This type of Rangemaster, just like the original one, has to really go at the start of your signal chain, because the way it interacts with the volume control and the dynamics, it's really important that it's not interfered with by buffers or compressors or other distortion pedals. But the other versions that Sailor makes can go anywhere. I specifically wanted a much smaller unit that was this way round for my pedal board. If it's flipped the other way, there's room for the transformer as well. And it's kind of, as I said, I was watching Chris Buck recently, and it occurred to me that I had one of these in my hand ages ago. And if it's good enough for Chris to keep on his board, it's probably good enough for me to have another go with. So hence I asked Sailor if he could make me one. Something else to keep in mind is it may sound a bit over the top and trebly in this room. So this is not an acoustically treated room. I am not using a mic'd up amp, I'm just using my Zoom Q2N. And I'm not in a band. Now the thing to remember is these are designed to make your guitar signal cut through a band. It's mids, upper mids and treble that it's attacking. In a band you've got a bass player, so you don't need to worry about the bass as much. Drums are up in the top end as well as everywhere else. Keyboards are wherever they want to be. And vocals are kind of, depending on what you've got, upper mids, trebles mostly. So the idea of this is to just take the bits that cut through with the guitar and make them just sound a bit thicker and a bit better and a bit more cutty throughy, which is definitely a word. So in this room it might sound a little over the top. I do a little bit of post EQ just to balance out vocals and guitar when I'm doing this kind of one shot to the camera stuff. So I tend to cut some of the treble and boost some of the bass. I won't do that with this recording, just so you can hear what it really sounds like. So, what do you reckon? For me, as it's currently set right now, this is going at the start of my signal chain and will always be on, just to give me that little bit of a kind of a cutting edge to my tone. Have you got an original Dallas Rangemaster? What do you think of them? Is it something you use all the time? Is it something that is out for special occasions? Because I seem to remember the original ones, they are just on. You don't turn them on or off. They don't have a foot switch. There was a big box that sat on top of the amp. Have you seen any of the other Sailor Rangemasters? Like I said, Chris Buck's been talking about them recently on That Pedal Show, in Guitarist magazine. I think they're well worth checking out. If you're interested, I'll put the link below for Hello Sailor. Do let me know what you think in the comments, please. Subscribe, like, hit the bell for notifications. And until next time, when I hopefully have thought out a slightly better setup for a video, I will see you soon. Cheers.